3 days ago, I went on a very magical adventure. I've talked about this before on my channel, so a lot of you may know already, but I sometimes take magic mushrooms. I find magic mushrooms very interesting, and of course, I don't endorse drug use. However, I don't even classify magic mushrooms as a drug. I think they are incredibly productive if you do them in a certain way. And the way I do them is very intimate. It allows me to sort of refresh my view on the world, myself, my relationships, who I am. It's a very introspective and, once again, intimate experience. I hadn't done them for a while, and I was discussing with a friend that wanted to try them as well. I'm not going to say who that is because they might not want people to know that they did shrooms, right? But we've been talking about it for a few weeks, and a few days ago we decided to go ahead and do it. Now, initially, my friend decided that he wanted to go off and do them alone, and that seemed okay with me. I'm used to doing them with another person, but I found the idea of doing them alone to be quite interesting. So I took my mushrooms alone. They're called Ape King. Is that what they're called? Yeah, Ape King. And these mushrooms are incredibly strong. They're quite small as well, so you wouldn't think it, but they're just absolutely packed with psychedelic substance. I don't remember what it's called. So I took 2 grams of shrooms, and if you said to, any sort of shroom enthusiast, like, oh yeah, I did 2 grams of shrooms, they'd probably laugh at you and think, yeah, that's not a very big dose. But like I say, this particular strain, or whatever the fuck it is, they're so strong, and I've done this particular strain before, and that's how I know. Because before I took them, and I wanted to just microdose them, so I took about 1.5 grams, which is a bit more than a microdose. But this time I took 2 grams. I tell you what, they absolutely knocked me out the entire day. The entire day was wiped out. The trip was really, really heavy and strong. And the come up was insanely intense. The place where I bought these shrooms from actually warned me of this as well. And before I actually start going into the storytelling of, the shroom trip now, I just want to make it clear, if you're going to try shrooms, there's a very certain way that you can do it. And you need to know as well that you need to respect the shrooms. If you're doing them and you're not respecting them, if you're fucking around, if you're in some weird party mode and you're like, oh yeah, I wanna get fucked up, man, shrooms aren't it. I've heard anecdotal stories from people on this island where their friends have done too much shrooms and they've literally lost their fucking mind. They're in a mental hospital. They're done, they're finished. So don't fuck around with shrooms. And if you're new to taking them, make sure that you have a conversation with someone who's more experienced and has been through that. And better yet, have someone trips at you, where they essentially stay sober. I don't know, they're sat in the corner of the room, they're just doing their own thing, they're working, they're chilling, and they're just making sure that you're okay. Trust me, it's fucking helpful having someone there to ground you in reality and think oh yeah, everything's okay because XY is here and I'm still on Earth, So anyway, that's my warning to you. If you're gonna try them, please respect the shrooms, because they can be an incredibly productive thing to do, but they can also be very hellish. And I've had a bad trip before. I've talked about it on my channel where I convinced myself that I was dying, and it was one of the worst things that happened to me, and for a month straight after, I had panic attacks. So they're no joke. They can actually really, really fuck you up, man. So please be careful. Anyway, I did these shrooms alone because I felt confident and, whatever. The thing is, on the come up, it was insanely intense. The come up was really intense. Like I say, these shrooms, incredibly powerful. And I hadn't eaten anything, which is the ideal way to do shrooms, by the way. So they kicked in within 15 minutes and they were strong, and I had pretty strong anxiety on the come up. I was starting to not feel very good about doing them alone. So I texted my friend and he came over to make sure that I wasn't freaking out. This is the same friend that we were initially gonna do the shrooms together. He came over and I actually ended up throwing up about an hour after I took my shrooms because, I don't know, they just upset my stomach a little bit. So I threw up a lot of shrooms, but the thing is I already soaked in, the psychedelic substance from them, so it was completely fine. I was flying, I was on a different planet. I got all the goodness from the shrooms. And after he arrived, I started to feel better. And my friend actually ended up taking his dose of shrooms as well, round mine. So we actually tripped together in the end, which we're both really glad we did, because like I say, it was a really, really heavy trip, and doing it alone without a friend there to actually conversate with would have been really, really difficult, and possibly a pretty bad decision ultimately. The first 2 hours is just very difficult, just getting through it, because it's so easy to start going down sort of bad thought patterns and you start feeling very negatively, so then you gotta just do something. Me and my friend essentially took it in turns lying in my bed, and we'd have a little bit of a good time in the bed for a little bit, but then, you know, there'd be a bad thought pattern, and then we'd start pacing, and then we'd sit outside for a few minutes, and that got a bit too intense, so we came back in, and then we'd go in the bathroom sometimes and look at ourselves in the mirror and, you know, just fucking random shit. And by the way, the visuals were fucking insane, man. Holy fuck. Visuals were very, very strong. The walls just had like insane patterns. That wardrobe there, you can't really see it, but like there's a slight like reflective tint on it, but when I was lying in that bed, it literally turned into a fucking mirror. It was just booky as fuck, man. And another funny thing, me and my friend actually sat outside for about 45 minutes, and we were looking at a tree, which is right there. I'll put a picture of it on screen, but we convinced ourselves that it was Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda, which is pretty fucking funny. So we sat looking up at this tree, just, what have you got for us, Master Oogway? So the visuals were mad, like I say. But yeah, the first 2 hours were literally like, you know, sort of just survive mode. Like, we were like pretty speechless and we were just trying to get through it, you know. But after that, it started to become far more manageable and we could actually, you know, explore our brains a little bit and how we felt about things and the world and our relationship, which is the best part about doing shrooms. That's why it's such a productive thing, because you can actually evaluate things without your ego dictating your decision-making process, you know. That's the best way that I can really describe it. Mushrooms essentially take your ego out of the question on how you evaluate everything around you. The world, your relationships, who you are as a man. And it's fucking interesting because flaws about yourself and flaws about other people in the world, which you cover up with your ego so that you can actually exist in the world without feeling bad, all get exposed. And it allows you to adjust your behavior based on that. And like I say, on some trips which I've had like life-changing realizations about myself, which has helped me become the man I am today. With this particular trip, I didn't have anything too life-altering and crazy, but it was more like a refresher. It made me appreciate the world a lot more. So now I'm gonna go over a few things which I realized on my trip, which you might find interesting. And when I say them, they might not seem like absolutely crazy to you, but when you've done the shrooms and you've went through that experience, these things really get like sort of just molded into your brain and it becomes more of your identity. So you might hear these and think, well, yeah, duh. But like maybe you don't even like take action on them. Maybe you don't actually believe them fully, you know, but you just think like, yeah, obviously, bro. And I'm not gonna share everything that went through my brain on the mushroom trip because like I say, it's like such an intimate experience. But I'll tell you some of the things which I'm comfortable sharing with you. Number one, I grew a massive appreciation for women. I massively appreciate women as it is. So like I say, none of this stuff is like a life-changing, different perspective which I adapted, but it was more of a refresher. What was really consolidated in my brain, and what a lot of people really misunderstand about women and men, is the fact that men, us, we are powerful in the physical world. We can get shit done in the physical world. That's our strength. What women possess is like, I don't even fucking know how they do it, but if this is like a spiritually full woman, if she's pure of heart, she has insane abilities in the spiritual realm to bring you good energy. They just bring the goodness. And I really fucking appreciate that about women. And that's what makes men and women such a beautiful team. It's that men are powerful in the physical realm and women are powerful in the spiritual realm, and we come together to make a beautiful fucking team. The problem nowadays is that men are not strong in the physical realm because they're pussies, and women are lost in the sauce listening to fucking Cardi B, and their fucking souls are so sucked out of anything. We're not playing to our strengths anymore. But I'm not gonna go on about the negatives of the modern day. The point I'm making here is that women who are pure of heart have so much power and love to give, and it's such a fucking beautiful thing, man, that so many people don't understand about women. So many men chase these modern day, like, hedonistic fucking hoes, man. These, like, fucking liposuction model bitches, you know, who are, like, fucking on Instagram. They don't have anything to give you apart from her body. And at that point, you may as well just fucking wank, man. She's not bringing you goodness from the fucking spiritual realm like you need. And that's why so many men think that women are distractions, because they are fucking distractions if you're just using them to wank. But a good woman should literally fuel your purpose. She's bringing you all of that goodness from the fucking spiritual realm, man. I'll probably sound like a fucking hippie, but all this shit is just so fucking true, man. I'm sorry if you don't understand that. It's a fucking shame, but it's true. A good woman will literally 10x you as a man. A bad woman will add nothing to your life and be a distraction. If you see women as a distraction, one, you're chasing bad bitches. That's not a good way to put it. You're chasing not spiritually full women, and you don't understand the strengths that women hold. There was another part of my trip where I grown so much appreciation for the unconditional love that a mother can give to her child. You will never have love ever again like the love that your mom gives you. There is no such thing as unconditional love outside of the relationship between a mother and her child. And that is just such a fucking beautiful thing. So boys, if you're watching this video, please do like I did after my mushroom trip and call your mom and tell her that you love her very much. Because even though she might annoy you sometimes, even though she might push a lot of her anxieties onto you, like my mom does, it's literally because she wants you to be as safe as humanly possible because she loves you so much. Call your mom and tell her you love her. Another realization I had during my trip was that we as mankind are quite literally our own biggest curse. So here on this island in Thailand, there's basically trucks which drive around everywhere with big speakers on the back, and they play really loud music. And there's also a speaker which is like announcing like, yeah, there's a Muay Thai fight at this place at this time, come through now, you know.
A fight card with only the best fighters of Samoy.
And there's also trucks similar to that playing loud music, which are essentially just advertisements for various bars, various services and stuff on the island. To be honest, I don't know how it's legal. These trucks with the speakers on are so loud. But basically, while me and my friend were tripping, we were outside, like, you know, enjoying nature. Sometimes one of these trucks would go past and it was just like, fucking hell, man, like just ruining the moment every time. And the takeaway is that our human innovation has allowed us to get to this point in society where we're so comfortable and we have so many, you know, amenities and options. But that same human innovation is essentially going to be our downfall, and it's why we're just fucking destroying our earth. It's that greed. I hope you understand what I mean. Essentially, we're so smart and we're so innovative, but it's also our own biggest curse because essentially our human greed is going to be our own downfall. Because these trucks which play this loud music, they're designed to get our attention. And it doesn't matter how annoying and how much worse it makes living on this island, they're still doing their job. When I see one, I can't help but turn my head because of how loud they are. But if you think about this concept on a much grander scale, all of the things that we do to garner more attention, to garner more financial gain, money, which are actually a net negative for mankind, you'll understand why we are our own worst enemy. The only reason we do that is because of our human greed. But the only reason we're able to do that is because of how smart, intelligent, and innovative we are. I hope this makes sense. This is really hard for me to explain. Another realization I had is that men who brag about their sexual prowess are fucking so insecure, man. These dudes who have like a one-night stand and then they come to you the next day, like, you know, the group of boys are like, oh yeah, and then I did this to her, and then I did this to her, and then I did this and this to her. I sort of realized on this trip like how fucking nasty and disgusting and like soulless that is. If you really think about it, what happened on that night was those two people shared one of the most intimate moments you could possibly share with another human being. And this fucking dude the next day has summarized it by just saying how he did things to her. It wasn't a shared moment, it was just him doing things to her, you know? When you think of it that way, you can really see just how soulless casual sex is. You are simply just using another person to masturbate with and then inflating your ego with it the following day when you tell your friends about it. If you are a man and you are secure in yourself, you should not feel the need to talk about your sexual prowess with your friends. If you share a moment with a woman, that should be a very intimate and private moment shared only between you and that person. To share it is not only disrespectful, It shows your lack of character. Finally, something I thought about on this trip was the Greek god Atlas. Atlas carries the weight of the world on his shoulders. And that resonates with me greatly because I feel like that's my duty as a man. I should carry the weight of the world on my shoulders so that my loved ones don't have to ever worry about anything. And something that I realized is that when men crumble in that mission, when they can't hold enough weight, they fall and perhaps they commit suicide. And when they commit suicide, the weight of that big fucking boulder falls directly onto their friends and family and all of their loved ones, because now they have to bear the burden of losing that person who committed suicide. So really, an alternate way that you could look at your journey as a man could be to be able to bear as much weight as humanly possible without crumbling. Those are just some of the things that I thought about on my shroom trip this time around. You guys let me know what you think about this. I know it's not particularly popular in my niche to talk about sort of mushroom trips. Because they're drugs, it's typically seen as like, you know, bad. However, I really think that shrooms are different. I really don't think you should see them as a drug. Like I say, I think they're really, really productive if done correctly. You guys please let me know your shroom experiences in the comments below. Some of the massive realizations that you've had about life. I'm really interested to hear them, so please comment. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. It helps a lot. And if you want to learn how to video edit and make money online, then click the first link in the description and take a look at my offer. Take care, boys.